if you're looking at between all the different saddles, comfort's your number one. I think priority. It has to be because you're spending so much time in a saddle. And then the huntability, like packability, weight, all those factors come in second, in my opinion. It is, unfortunately different from a lot of different things that you might buy for hunting. It is such a personal preference that you do have to try to get your butt in a lot of saddles. That's why the expos are so good. That's why, if the manufacturer is offering something like we are, where you got this risk-free 30-day guarantee, which you can actually order, get with a couple buddies, order 4, send back whatever. Like, you can do things like that, which we definitely recommend. You're now listening to the Mobile Venatic podcast. That's a giant. Welcome to episode 2 of our 3-part series. Yeah. On saddle hunting for beginners, kind of like a beginner's guide where we just kind of running through everything that you kind of need to know from saddle hunting without necessarily maybe watching a video, because there's a lot of really great videos out there that can give you a real quick spin up on it. But we kind of want to jump more into the details, specifically on, again, everything it needs for beginning saddle hunting. Last episode, we talked to Nick Betts. He is our engineer. He is our product guy. He also heads up the warehouse and different things like that for us here at Trophy Line. So what did we jump into last time? We've had a couple podcasts since then, but not in this series.
It's so tough to try and remember any of this because we've been out of order on recording things as we go. So I've had like a couple in-season podcasts in between here and now. And I really don't remember talking much to Nick, to be honest.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not a bad sign that you guys actually took something valuable away from Nick.
Right. No, I know this episode is going to be all about the gear itself and, acquiring the gear, testing the gear, because, specifically when it comes to saddle hunting, and as you can tell, if you are in the market, you are looking at forums, you're looking at videos, you are looking at other people's perspectives, reviews, you're looking at a ton of different manufacturers. You're looking at used gear. You're looking at shops around you. Hopefully you should be, looking at all of the above. And I think that's going to do you justice, because I think you're going to get a really good picture of where you need to be headed, not only in what gear you should get first, which we will be talking about, but also what gear to go after, maybe some manufacturers, and then how to acquire that gear. Hopefully we can give you some helpful tips that might actually help either get you more gear for your money, value-wise, or get you started off easier or more worthwhile, because I think you can purchase things in a certain way that's going to make a big difference. You got anything to add before we kind of start jumping in?
The biggest thing is just don't get overwhelmed by all of the options that are out there. And the reason why there's so many options is because everybody's just a little bit different. So it's for your benefit that there's that many options across the entire spectrum of saddle hunting. But I know it can be an overwhelming feeling, especially now compared to when I started 6 years ago, and the limited availability of things to now is just exponentially more. So just don't feel overwhelmed. We'll try and keep it as straightforward and not minimalistic, but just packed together as possible to try and give you an idea of what you may need going forward. I think now listening back to, or trying to remember talking about with Nick, it was trying to give you those basic necessity needs and how you don't need much to get started. But if you have a year under your belt, or you're looking to just jump in head forward, this is kind of where we're going to get into the nitty gritty of packages and, all the good stuff that comes along with all the gear that you're going to get, basically. So
absolutely. Yeah. We talked about, a lot about, why saddle hunting, the benefits, the costs, all of us kind of jumping in. And that's honestly kind of where I'd like to start this this episode would be like where we started from a gear standpoint, because, we have a lot, whether it's shows or, guys just coming at hunting camp, or in the industry that we know, like, especially you, Bobby, like just being, in that YouTube realm of things, like there's a lot of guys that just come to us and like, hey, how do I kind of start, or I'm kind of on the fence, or I kind of want to do this hybrid model. And it's like, pick up the saddle first in a platform so you can try it ground level. Now,
Mhm.
we're recording this in September, so there's a lot of
Al
little bit different. Yeah, almost October.
almost
So
October.
where this comes out, it'll be October. So it's different now. Like just picking up a platform and a saddle may not be best case scenario because yeah, I mean you can practice in the yard before those cold fronts start hitting, before the rut hits, but you still need that set of sticks. You still need a way to get up the tree. So, and I think that's what we're gonna end up talking about is we've got some really good options to jump with both feet in, make it as easy as possible, but jump in with every single piece of gear that you need. We have some really big kits that actually get you a value buy in when you buy everything at once. But the first thing that I think it has to start out with, because I started in a rougher spot, would be a saddle. My first saddle was kind of going with that value buy. It wasn't a trophy line saddle. It was before I worked for trophy line, but it was not as comfortable as it could have been, and it
Mhm.
definitely was. I know a lot of people that hunt on those types of saddles, and that it works for them. It didn't work
Mm.
for me. One thing about me, if you don't know me, I'm a little guy, but two, I have no butt, and it's bone, which actually like that's why I don't like sitting on a tree stand because I just have no butt and it just hurts. Like if I have to stand or sit, I'm choosing to stand. So, that particular saddle just didn't really work with my build, and I think that's a
Mhm.
big part of it. Like we talk about body types a little bit internally, and especially Nick, and I think that we have several different options out there, including a brand
Mhm.
new one for saddles, and each one works a little different, even in the internal team here.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like comfort wise goes, and we may have discussed this previously, but you're gonna have two main adjustment points for comfort, two main adjustment points, and that's going to be your tether height and then the positioning of your bridge to your bridge loops on your saddle. So your saddle is going to have two loops on either side where your bridge actually connects to, and depending where that is girthed around will change the pitch of your saddle, and then the height of your tether will change that pitch as well. So as far as going past that, it's going to be all dependent again on you. So don't feel overwhelmed, but it's going to be, do you want something minimalistic? Do you want all the bells and whistles? Do you want all USA? Do you want a mixture of things? Do you want this and that? So um, for me, when I started out, there wasn't, again, the options, and I started out with the ambush.
Oh yeah,
And
old
I'm
school.
I'm I'm glad Trophy Line got rid of that real fast.
Yeah. Yep.
To be honest, I wish I had it still though, because I'd like to have a little collection of all the saddles I've ever
Oh yeah,
got
for
to
sure.
wear. But
Yeah.
but uh,
Beyond
and things have come a long way.
yeah, and beyond, I mean, comfort, like you're gonna have vastly different comfort between manufacturers,
Hmm.
vastly different comfort between saddle types and individual saddles as well. I mean, we are actually offering four Venatic, um, Covert Light, Covert Pro, and Nimbus. Now, Covert Light and Covert Pro have a little bit of obviously the same type of build. Nimbus is definitely different. It's a simpler design. When it comes to comfort, I think for me, Venatic wins hands down on the comfort
Me
side of
too.
things. Then it would be Nimbus, and then it would be the coverts for me. Um,
Hmm.
but again, I'm that smaller build. I think maybe for the bigger guy, the Covert Light and Pro might be where to look, or the Venatic especially.
From the forums, it seems like the bigger guys do tend to lean towards those coverts. But for people that don't know, like our design between the coverts and the Venatic, they're similar in a way, but they're both comfortable, but they're built a little different at the same time. So the coverts are going to have like a 3-band system where you've got a thicker band at the top, a thicker band towards your legs, and then one running through the center of that saddle to kind of disperse that weight of your rear end all through that saddle. Whereas the Venatic is a thick band at the top, a thick band at the bottom with no band in the middle, which gives it more of like a cupping holding feel. And to be totally honest, like both of them, I'll say more on the Venatic side. The Venatic is like a 2-panel, but it is a single panel because everything's
It
attached.
just
So
doesn't
you're,
allow you to punch through, which
yep.
makes a massive difference when you are walking in and hunting and climbing. You don't have to deal with the two-panel system. It's got
Yeah.
that feel to it, but it's because of that 4-inch webbing. That was a build together with Matthew Tompkins over at TX5. Like that was and a very that plus the ripstop material,
Yeah, the
a- a-
ripstop's nice.
and it's got features which I didn't mean to cut you off, but like you talk
You're
about
fine.
comfort, um, going through each saddle. Comfort is a big thing, and those adjustments, if you're not paying attention, can kind of ruin the experience. So definitely pay attention. Give when you're trying saddles, whether it's at a dealer or buddies, or you're buying some and using some risk-free guarantee where you actually can send that saddle back after trying it. Give it what it's worth by knowing what adjustment is available. Adjust that on that bridge, and you can shift that weight from your back to your bottom or halfway between. And that was something I was actually really bad at the first year, and I'm still having to remember because I'm just so caught up in the hunt. But it's just adjust it real quick,
Yeah.
and then beyond comfort, is the features like you said, bells and whistles that make that saddle hunt. And when I say that, it's does the saddle like the Venatic pinch up where you can when you wear it in, you're pinching or you're hanging it up, and it is feels more like a belt, not something that's hanging down. That's a big
Hmm.
difference. For me, I do like to wear my saddles in unless it's over like Kentucky this year, just been over that 2 mile mark. So I just pack it because I'm going through, creek bottoms and all sorts of stuff. But plugging up those leg bands behind it, behind me, and then hanging that Venatic up where versus, that's a I think that's a pretty big deal where you should go with the Venatic if you're looking between all of our saddles versus the Nimbus and Covert Pro that don't do that. I mean, you could easily do that with any little bit of gear additions to it, which we'll talk
Yeah, yeah.
about in the next episode. Um, but that is a
You're
big
you're
difference maker.
saying you're saying from the packability standpoint of wearing it in,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yeah, hanging that
yeah.
thing up and getting it off the back of your legs is a big deal for me.
Which we didn't talk about the new release of the Nimbus either. The Nimbus is going to be a pretty low profile saddle, similar to the Venatic. It doesn't tab up. I guess that's the way I would call it.
Yep.
So if you're walking in with it on, it's still a lower profile saddle to begin with, but it's not the same packability wearing it as the Venatic is. Now, when you're up in the tree, this is more of a true single panel style saddle, and it's very not very. That's probably not the best way to put it. Comparatively to the Venatic, it's lower on your back, and it doesn't come out as far around your waist. So it's going to have just that really close hugging feel, and like almost like it's more of a harness style feel to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And if that's, I don't know if that's the right way to explain it or not. I've only got to wear, I don't know, a couple, maybe a dozen times. So that's been my experience with it so far.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So kind of going back, if you're looking at between all the different saddles, you got comfort's your number one, I think, priority. It has to be because you're spending so much time in a saddle. And then the huntability, like packability, weight, all those factors come in second, in my opinion. So it is, unfortunately different from a lot of different things that you might buy for hunting. It is such a personal preference that you do have to try to get your butt in a lot of saddles. That's why the expos are so good. That's why, if the manufacturer is offering something like we are, where you got this risk-free 30-day guarantee, which you can actually order, get with a couple buddies, order four, send back whatever. Like you can do things like that, which we definitely recommend. The other is think about the saddle system itself. You can always mod, you can always like upgrade, swap some things out. But if it is a saddle kit, again, kind of why I favor the Venatic until we came out with the Nimbus was the Venatic is running off like this ultralight ripstop material, and you're running 8 millimeter tech core ropes, two of them. It all fits in one pocket, which frees up your waist for hanging your sticks or platform or whatever gear you're going to hang off of. Like Bobby's got a bow holder, 3D printed bow holder of his, so it kind of like slims up your waistline. Um, However, and that's also, the same pouches are offered with the Covert Light and Covert Pro. Round pouches, we have square as well, but you're running bigger 11 millimeter ropes, which a lot of people like to run two different pouches for, depending on what's going on, because that's a lot of rope to put into one pouch. However, the Nimbus has a pouch that is extremely popular right now. We knew it was going to be popular as soon as we released it.
Yeah.
It's built with the ability to stay open with a cinch closure. It basically means that you can have a lot easier one-hand operation. Now, Yeah, I can do one-hand operation essentially with the Venatic, no problem. But the fact that it stays open, it just makes things way easier, which I'm very likely swapping my Venatic pouch out with one of these Nimbuses because I'm loving it so much.
It's going to be hard not to, honestly.
Yeah. So, the system, if you are in the market, it's easier to buy a saddle hunting kit. So you get really good quality, like our ropes, really good quality US made versus, just look at the whole picture in terms of the system and how you're running that. Like two pouches, two ropes, one pouch, making things a little bit simpler and lighter to run it with. So that's also a big thing before I think we jump into the next segment of gear here, platforms.
Yeah. Yeah, and like another thing just to add on to this, a lot of these discussions happen on forums online, and there are a lot of personal preferences, just like what we were saying. So if you're a part of these groups and you start seeing personal preferences pop up of people saying things like, "Well, I just use one rope the whole way up there," that's fine and dandy. That's your preference, but that's not the safest or technically the right way to do those things. So just be cautious anytime you're trying to get information offline or listening to a podcast like this one, that you do your due diligence and figure out everything that you need to know for your confidence and your safety. Is that a fair plug in right there? Because I think, say the safety portion of saddle hunting has been preached since, at least since I've been around in this game, and I don't want that to start going backwards from people just saying you don't need this because I don't need this, or it's safe enough, or OSHA says you only need to be tied off above 6 foot. I don't care. Just, I don't want to see anybody die. I want to see people shoot big deer.
100%. Yeah. And it's not worth like risking whether it's a few pounds or like just trying to make a saddle or simpler by cutting certain things off or like what, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. Like it's just not worth that peace of mind. If you got a family, you got kids, come home.
Yeah.
Like it's not worth it. Deer
Yeah.
aren't worth that.
No.
So I think that's the first buy. That's the biggest part of it. This is saddle hunting. I mean, you can do so many different things with it. The second consideration for gear, because, and this is why it's second, there's a lot of hybrid hunters out there. There's a lot of guys saddle hunting, with hang-ons or, other whatever tree stands, hunting with presets as well. Being like Bobby and modifying something out of left field and putting it on a tree and hunting out of that with a saddle. So.
I cut it down.
cut it off the tree. We're talking about some homemade platforms back in the day.
I mean, I was safe.
Right.
I still was attached all the time. Platform just wasn't good to stand
on. So when it comes to platforms, again, we're trying to go over the individual pieces that you need to be looking for when you are in the market. First one for me, I think the first one for me would be like, just because of the style of hunting, I think it would be like the packability side of it for me. I think that's like the single biggest choice when it comes to my, but the rigidity and how sturdy it is a very, very close second, because that's what also matters from a peace of mind standpoint, especially when it comes to moving around or taking a shot on something and making sure there's no whatever happens to be on a platform, the possibilities of it squeaking or shifting or anything like that, like those are all unforeseen potential issues that you would want to look at when it comes to buying a platform. I think it's easy to make your mind up from a packability standpoint, and then also looking at the reviews to see if there is any unwanted potential problems with the platform that you are looking at. Rigidity just comes down to like looking at that platform, how it's built, materials being used, and knowing that it's going to be extremely stable up there. Again, I'm a smaller guy, so I think that's why it's also a second tier option from the packability standpoint with me. But I mean, I think, packability, which means weight, how it packs, what the profile is. And then second would be, how rigid it is, and how just honestly how it bites into that tree and just locks in for you.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
So like the way I break down platforms is Basically just size. So you have a minimalist size compared to a larger size. And the way in my head, how I work things out is if I'm going into a new piece of public or somewhere that I'm going to be diving into for half a day, I'm not worried about, you know, extra weight or extra size or extra bulk. So I'm following that minimalistic size of the platform because it's either A, I'm just diving in to see what's going on back here, or I know I'm only going to be in the tree for a couple hours, so I don't need to have to worry about extra comfort. But when it comes to, I know I'm going to go in all day, or I know I'm going to be filming somebody, or it's just a place that I know that's going to be, I need to have that 360-degree turnaround possibilities. I'm looking at larger size. So I just really categorically in my head, it's always size differences. And again, when it comes to a larger platform, typically you're just going to have more freedom of movement. Not to say that you even need the platform. We've talked about this, I think, with Nick. Like some people can get away with doing everything they want to do with a ring of steps. But if it's me, I personally love a platform, especially if you're looking into self-filming, especially if you're self-filming somebody else. And it gives you a little bit more confidence on the tree for those weak side shots, for sure. So that's how I break it down. And if I was going to choose the two platforms that I enjoy the most, I would say it would be the EDP or the Hyperlight platform, which I don't, at the time of this recording, isn't available yet, or the Onyx, because the Onyx, in my opinion, like you said, bite is insane. The bite on that Onyx is insane. It's got the edges all the way around it, so it's giving you that ankle relief all day sits, and it's big enough for you to really just stand up on if you wanted to and shimmy your way around. Not as big as the Mission, but I still love the Mission. I can't help but love the Mission.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like,
is it
I
worth,
overwhelm myself with all the options.
is it worth the carry? I mean, like the Onyx is worth the carry. Like the weight, again, the
Yeah.
packability and weight, the fact that it's concave actually allows it to carry better on certain packs. Palisade or case packs. From a plateau pack standpoint, I mean, it's not vastly different than the EDP, but it is worth the carry in every aspect because it has those angles, because it's so comfortable. And yes, the head on that thing will split a tree. I mean, the claw, like
Oh God.
it
Which
bites
which I'm
very
super
well.
glad we went with that same type of claw style with that Hyperlight platform too. That
Absolutely. Yeah.
does a really good job.
So if you're not familiar, we do offer 5, right? Different platforms right now. Yes, 5. I don't know why I'm thinking I'm coming up with a different one. So we have, our core, which is the EDP and Mission. The EDP is what I would call a standard size platform in the industry. It's roughly 12 by 12 inches. It is, a hair over 3.5 pounds. Like it's a standard platform, but the thing tested unbelievably well. I mean, just a rock solid platform. Packs really, really nice. It's just, honestly, it's like a standard in the industry, in my opinion. The Mission is for it's basically that, but for the bigger guys. And that the typical cutoff that we try to recommend at shows or online is if you have a size 12 boot or bigger, or if you're doing a lot of private and like preset stuff, even potentially, the Mission is where to go with that, because again, like you said, Bobby, like appreciating that room, it is worth the
hmm
carry.
hmm
And then we have a super minimal, which I actually favored the most, which is our Wingman. It's a platform with an angle on the front of it that we put on top of a double step mini stick, and it packs with the double step mini sticks. That system is beautiful, especially like for me, I ran a single stick and a Wingman with a 3-step backwoods life like mobile aider, and I think my setup was like around 7 something pounds. It was awesome, and it was great for the early season. Again, the only drawback was a little bit lack of mobility, just turning around on the head of that platform. But I'm
It's
again smaller
it's
guy.
like you can do it.
You
Like
can do it.
I have
Yep.
a video out there of myself practicing doing it, but I don't. It's when it comes down to crunch time and the pressure's on, you might forget like
Hmm.
your method of doing it
Oh,
unless you practice it
100%.
enough.
100%. The other thing to consider too is like again your hunting style and your preferences. Um, certain trees, certain situations, certain hunts, I like love the fact that I carried an Onyx in or a EDP because like
Mhm,
depending on that tree, like leaning, like leveling it versus the EDP or the
mhm.
wingman without those leveling capabilities, but it does have the angle, so it does kind of work in its own right. Um, and then also self filming, like just standing up and messing with the camera or something like that. Like there's a lot of things that I appreciate about having an actual standard or bigger platform. Um,
I mean,
and
that mission platform is the closest platform right now that, like, is a true saddle hunting platform that would be considered a hybrid platform
oh yeah,
for people that like to have a bigger area to stand on.
and a lot of guys, if you are coming from a climbing stand or a hang on world, that might be. I mean, you are at or below the weight that you were dealing with anyways.
Yeah.
And you are dealing with almost the same amount of room from a usability standpoint. Like that's the room that you do need because there's not a seat involved that's kicking you out further on that tree stand. So it's
Well, and the other thing we didn't discuss for the people that are listening too is it's going to kind of somewhat be dictated by the size of your foot and your overall stature. So if you're a guy that's 250 plus, say, with a size 13, 12, 13 boot, you're probably just going to lean towards a bigger platform, either the Onyx or the Mission. Granted, you can get away with a smaller platform. I'm a size 11 and I can run that. Oh, shoot. Why did I just forget the name of it? The one you were using.
wingman.
Wingman. Yeah, I can use the Wingman, turn around on it, like I said. But if you're a bigger guy to get into it, I would definitely recommend a larger platform to get into it. And the nice thing about any of the saddle hunting stuff is it really does have a very good resale value. So if you make it past the 30 days of where you can't return it, saying you didn't, finding out that you could get away with a smaller platform, you can feel confident knowing either A, you can put that up as a preset, or at least get a good chunk of your money back if you had to sell it to somebody else.
Oh yeah. Yep. 100%. And then now the new one that we're offering based off the success, and the core of I think our offers are and even the saddle hunting market would be an EDP size platform that is literally half the weight, the Hyperlight. We took everything kind of together. It does actually have not as aggressive by any means, but it has some angles on the sides of it, built off of the center. I mean, but again, just a little. It has that claw design kind of from that Onyx, and then the size that works really well from the EDP and how it cams in and different things like that. So, um, it operates like an EDP. If you are a fan of the EDP, then you are gonna love this because it's half the weight.
Oh,
And
it's wonderful.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's I'm not gonna say it's absolutely as rigid as that because it is a different material and it is in that lighter weight bracket, but it's not going to be as spongy as what you're going to be experiencing in this lightweight sector outside of us, from a
Very true.
trophy line standpoint. This is again, it's a rock solid platform. It's not going to be as rock solid as the EDP, but you're cutting weight by half. And for someone like me, we're going to get into sticks next, but if you're pairing that with the Hyperlight sticks as well, you're running a 6.5 pound system that is just stupid lightweight. And it walking in and hunting this year with that system, it's there's just nothing back there. It's awesome.
No,
I mean,
no,
there is something back there because I'm self filming and bringing in
that's
more
what I was
gear
gonna
than
say.
more gear than I need. My camera gear is now outweighing my sticks or platform and sticks, but
My camera alone weighs as much as the sticks and
and the
half
platform,
the platform.
yeah,
Yeah,
with the mic and the extra battery, yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy. So, um, again, if you're in the market on a platform, those are the factors to consider. You got the EDP mission, Wingman, and Onyx, and then the Hyperlight, which is coming out very soon or launched at the time that we're discussing this. Um, if you're a bigger guy, Mission, Onyx. If you are trying to go as minimal as possible, EDP, Wingman, Hyperlight. The best balance is arguably EDP, Onyx for sure. The One of the best minimal is going to be Hyperlight or Wingman, in my opinion, especially if you go with like a double step mini stick. Just the packability of that, it's unparalleled in my mind. That's why I ran it so aggressively. Um, and then time to jump into sticks.
First of all, I had to restart the camera because it's got a 30-minute timer. But I will say, typically, I don't try and brag that trophy line is the best of everything because everybody has that personal preference. But I want to end these platforms on the note of saying we probably, I don't know this for certain, but we have to have the highest rated weight rating, not weight rating, the testing results, like 1,600 pounds before any type of failure on these platforms. Some of these platforms, some are a little lower, some are a little higher, I believe. So, like, if you have concerns about the rigidity or the strength of a platform, because you're going to spend the majority of your time on the platform, and Nick Betts would tell you the same thing. Pay attention to the platform. These platforms are insanely tough, insanely strong. And I think, I don't know 100% sure, but I will brag this up that we have insane third-party testings on these platforms where they exceed. I mean, even the new one, I mean, it was me and Nick jumping around on it on a proto one, and we couldn't get anything to failure. So, and that was 250 at the time. We were pushing the 500-pound mark, especially jumping up and down on it.
Dynamic
So,
loading. Oh
yeah,
and they go through way more extravagant tests when they are third party tested.
Yes,
of which it is. So it
yes.
is, and I would definitely agree. I mean, it's I think that's why we put so much emphasis on, like, if you are that guy that's pushing the 250, the bigger body types, the bigger foot types, like,
Yeah.
I think that a lot of those guys find a home because of that testing, and the EDP, the Mission, the Onyx, like those are at 350. So
Yeah.
weight rating. So like they are, but they're more rock solid than that. Like they are.
Oh,
just
yeah. I'm
stupid
pretty
rock
sure
solid.
we could rock them up to 400 or 450.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, but again, like that's hard to hunt at that end. But um, yeah,
Basically, all I was trying to say is don't feel any doubt in these types of platforms. I know there's other ones out there that are really good too, but like I feel confident in Trophy Line and the designs that they've put together, and the companies that are the manufacturers that build them for us. So your safety factor in those things are absolutely insane.
yep.
So from there, sorry to take this off track or bring it back around, but now we're back to sticks, right? Is that what you said?
Sticks.
Yeah.
So we have two offers on the stick standpoint. Again, but not to discredit, if you're trying to jump into saddle hunting and you're doing a lot of private stuff, or again, even public, and you've got some presets and stuff, don't discredit just heading off with a saddle and a platform on a 20-foot set of sticks that you got from whatever Sportsman Guide or whatever for like the $90. Or I think that was 3 years ago the last time I bought a set like that. It's like $99. But like, that's a good strategy. Just put those sticks up, and then just all you're carrying around is an EDP in your saddle. Like that's your saddle weight you're transferring for your safety harness. Then you're just bringing an EDP, or if you're hunting with another guy, a camera guy, all they have to bring is also an EDP. Transfer. So it's that, don't discredit that. You might not need sticks. You might already have sticks. You might have another hunting solution. So you might like screwing steps on private. There's options out there. We offer two on the climbing stick side. Both are built with, just climbing ease of use in mind. There's a lot of accessories that we'll jump into on the next episode that make it extremely easy to carry them up in the tree, set them, different things like that. Some stuff that you can mod swap that gets them even lighter, like especially for our double step mini sticks, like big favor. I love daisy chain aim steel. Again, we'll get into that in the next episode, but the two we offer, double step mini sticks, that are coming in at a £1.8 per stick, and then our hyperlights, which are 17 and a half ounces, 1 pound. I mean, those hyperlight sticks are unmatched in my opinion. I'm absolutely loving them, hunting them a lot lately, and the packability, the size, the ease of use. Again, what we'll jump into next episode, some of the aftermarket stuff you can do to them that just makes it so enjoyable and deadly from a system. But again, I
Just
mean,
streamlined.
they're extremely streamlined, but we both came from the double step mini sticks and even more sticks beyond that. So those doubles, I mean, those are great. Those are our base. We have those in something that we're going to talk about in just a little bit on this podcast, which is our kits. But they are a great option. they are a lightweight option in their own right. I mean, just 2-3 years ago, they were amongst some of the lighter weights, and again, the market has come a long way in 3 years in not only design, like our hyperlights, but also material, to get to these lighter weights. But they're a great base option for a guy starting that maybe doesn't want to spend that money to get ultra light, you know?
Mhm.
Um, but they're still a really good base. And again, like I loved running the wingman in the packability sense off of
Because
something like
they
this.
stacked with them.
They
Yeah.
stack. So they do stack. They do not inline stack like our hyperlight, that what we call a flat stack, where our standoffs are running through our steps, but they do stack like almost every other stick on the market where they have to stack at an angle. They run up because they're stacking on top of each other. But again, very packable. Most of our packs pack them extremely well. Plateau pack on the bottom, or most of the time separating them into two on either side of a pack. And they
I,
work
I
well.
think I think the best way to describe that would be like a stair step stack.
Yep.
Because it's a stick, then it starts partially up the stick, kind of keeps moving off in
Yeah.
this stair step fashion.
And we actually came from working with Novix on the single, steps as well. So like
Mhm.
if you are in the market for sticks, like we can talk about that a little bit. Double steps being kind of like that standard where most people are trying to land at versus the altering steps. Like, yeah, they pack better. Yeah, they can do a couple things, but it's like you have to keep that in mind as you're climbing too. It's not,
Saves you like 4 or 5 ounces.
and is
I
that
mean,
worth it at the end of the day
yeah.
versus standing and setting on a stick versus one foot, the other foot? I don't think it is.
Right. So basically, from the sticks we offer right now, there's 3 main differences. So you're going to look at, and anytime you're going out and looking at sticks, this is what you can kind of look at. You've got weight, you've got packability, and you can look at the standoffs as well. So my favorite thing about the mini double steps is this spinning standoff. That is, I love it because it just makes that set into the tree a little bit quicker, gives you a little bit more versatility too, in my opinion. But that's a difference between the mini sticks and the hyperlight sticks. Is the hyperlight sticks don't have a spinning standoff. They still bite very well, but the hyperlight sticks pack way better than the mini double step sticks, and they are way lighter than the mini double step sticks. Price points obviously a little bit different when you look at them comparatively, because the hyperlight sticks do offer more convenience, lighter packing ability. But again, if you're not looking to spend that type of money starting off, or if you do like the spinning standoffs better than a fixed standoff, that mini double step stick is exceptional. And I've used them have we had them out for like 3 years now? Yep. I believe.
Oh yeah.
And they just, I typically would run 3, kind of like what Weston was doing, or were you running 4? Either way, I either had fixed aiders from the Amsteel guy, or I had a movable double step aider from, was it Backwoods Life? Is that what you said? That
yep.
Yeah, Backwoods Life. So you can still cut weight. If you were trying to do that with the mini double step sticks, it would just be you're spending more money to buy the accessories that you need to cut that weight. So
and if it matters, they're both US made sticks.
Yes.
So
yes.
If that matters to you, they're both USA made, and there is a price gap between those sticks, but they each have their own place. If you're a beginner just trying to get a base set, the double step mini sticks are great. If you're trying to go like with a one-time buy, like for a very long time, I can't see something on the market becoming better than that within even our own like stuff within 5 years. I don't know where it goes from here. Lightweight.
Which one's the hyperlights?
Yeah, I don't know where it goes from here. Like we talk about that often on this podcast, even into the next episode. Like, where does the industry go from here? Because we're just approaching these solutions that are just stupid lightweight, and they're well thought out and
strong.
It's kind of and they're strong. There's like hard to see where it goes from here, like besides levitating boots, or I don't even know. Like, it's crazy.
I always see people talk about climber spikes for your boots.
Yeah.
And you can use them on pretty much any private property, but I personally don't want to damage up all the trees on my private property that I can hunt either. So that is an option for you. We didn't discuss that at all, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. I'm sure it's still safe, and I'm sure it's effective. but
Yep.
you're probably going to be killing some trees in the long term. So
Yep. Next thing to talk about, which is like, I think it's I think it's becoming more prevalent when new saddle hunters are getting into the market and they're trying to build their kit and their system because this matters. But ultimately, it's not one of those things that you have to pull the trigger on first to make that system work because you have other, and the topic is packs. You have other packs in your hunting setups already. They may not just be able to handle saddle gear as efficiently as a pack may be made for saddle hunting. Generally, if it has cinch straps or if you add, a twist ties like night ice rubber, you can make almost anything work, even with the straps. However, there are some really good options. We have 6 core packs right now that carry our saddle. Every single system that we make, it carries them very well, well thought out, and actually has some features that just allow it to hunt differently versus your style of hunting. Um, we can jump into it. What's your favorite off the bat?
probably the plateau,
Yeah,
which I'm pretty sure is your favorite one too.
I'm
So I hate to
pretty
take that
sure.
from you.
I'm pretty sure out of the like 5, 6 core employees that we have, I think the plateau is the 4 out of 5, maybe 5 out
Probably.
of 5, 6 out of 6. I
And to be fair, I was a fanny pack a lover to begin with before it was released. It's just now this one was set up and built for saddle hunters. So like when I already liked fanny packs to begin with, and then they come out with a better way to pack the sticks and put the platform on and the pockets and everything else. And the size of it is very deceiving. Like you can pack a lot more on there than what you think you can. It's like it's hard to get away from that for me.
Yeah,
It really is.
I came from the opposite world. Like I didn't even jump into saddle hunting until after I went out west for like elk hunting, but and that kind of shift. And I was also hunting with a was it a lone wolf hand climber? So it was like I was trying to come from a frame pack mindset and carrying even more weight with camera gear, and trying to like stabilize that weight. So I was actually hunting with it was an EXO Mountain Gear like 4800. It was my elk hunting pack,
Mhm.
and I think at its base it's like 2.5, 3 pounds, maybe 4. It's actually pretty lightweight, but there's not a lot of material to like organize, and it's just one of those duffel style. Um, and so I started saddle hunting with that. And the biggest thing that the plateau does for me with that fanny pack, and I was never a fanny pack style guy, was the open cell in the back. Like the back sweat factor, especially if you are doing a lot of mobile travel, like you're just looking for sign, which I'm definitely doing a lot of hunting with that style this year more than ever before. And just if you find yourself going the distance, hunting early season, you're sweating a lot, or trying not to sweat and then freeze, after you get in
Yeah.
the stand. That is
Yeah.
a big factor. It's a huge factor. Um, and it carries the gear really nice to the point where you don't have to take the pack off when you get to
Yeah.
the tree. I mean, you reach around, you get your cinch straps, especially with the hyperlight, like they're very compressed. Reach around, grab them, you're bringing them around, you're getting to the tree. The platform is at your shoulders on cinch straps, which is arguably like the top selling factor for me of this pack. The fact that the platform rides all the way up with you on cinch straps on your shoulders, and all you have to do is just unplug it and bring it around when you get in the tree. It's dynamite. I actually take
Yeah.
my
I mean, but to round it out, this pack like eliminates the need to buy accessories to carry your
oh yeah.
sticks and your platforms up a
Hmm.
tree, basically. So
Yep.
it's really nice. I mean, pretty like Weston said, pretty much everybody likes it, but we do offer 5 more. And
Yep.
if I was going to pick a second one, it would be the Palisade because it's a rigid foam EVA foam
Hmm.
body that will let it doesn't collapse on itself. So I think our biggest seller is the K's pack, where that doesn't have like any type of structure to it, and
Yep.
people love
So
it.
so the
But
K's and the
yeah,
the
but
K's and the
I like the Palisade.
The K's and the Palisade are kind of similar in my opinion, but again, vastly different. Like that Palisade is the bucket EVA style foam, but then the K's pack is like I think it's more of a generalist pack because it can carry way more hunting gear and it's got way more straps to it besides the Palisade, where it can carry like I think your bow more effectively or like a hang on or like it could just do more in a way.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
that's why it's a little bit more popular pack. But honestly, the close second, right behind K's, is the Plateau, and then the Palisade. Like they're all just kind of neck and neck, depending on what kind of gear someone's using. The
Yeah.
Palisade is one of my favorites too, just from I think your biggest thing is like self filming.
It's camera gear. It really is. Yeah. So like most people aren't going to look at buying a pack from that perspective. So if you were going to look at trying to sift through our packs and everybody else's packs, it would kind of be dependent on uh, a minimalist to somebody that wants to carry everything in the kitchen sink and where you fall in between. So obviously the minimalist side of things would be the plateau. And then the as far as like if you wanted to carry the kitchen sink with you, pack out meat with you, all this kind of stuff, then you're probably going to look at the Sumpter, which is very similar to the case pack, but it has a aluminum frame built into it, so it helps the load carry um, be dispersed better. But that's probably the way you want to break down a pack. Is all of these are going to be designed for saddle hunting. So either the sticks are going to mount on the side of the pack or the bottom, and then the platform either mounted to the very back or like on the plateau, it's mounted up on your shoulders. But the main factor is going to be how much you want to take in with you.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of guys, and I could be wrong on this, a lot of guys think they bring more into the woods than what they actually do until it gets to late season and then you are packing extra layers and stuff like that. But I know I've got buddies that'll pack so much stuff. Even so, we just got back from Montana. My buddy Josh was packing so much extra stuff into the woods with us. Like his pack weighed, I think, 50 pounds.
Dang.
Mine with my camera gear and all the extra batteries weighed 38.
Wow. I mean, that's a big difference. 12 pounds for miles. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's like your 3 to 7 day food,
That was a
even.
three night. That
Yeah.
was a
Three
three
night.
night. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. I think mine was like 35, but my camera gear didn't come close to yours. So we were probably right neck and neck there. But man,
But so if
heavy.
you're worried, I guess when you're taking a look at these packs and everybody else's, just keep in mind, like, do you really need to pack 3 bottles of water or something like that? So
Right.
that'll help you on the price point of things and spending the money if you're trying to pinch money, but otherwise being effective. So packing too much sometimes could negatively impact your hunting strategy.
Yeah.
So
So besides the plateau, each one of them you mentioned, the Palisade case and Sumter, they all have a very similar. You can run, the sticks underneath the case and the Sumter, but normally it's two sticks, side mounted, and then they all have what's called a platform pouch. It basically
mhm,
has 2 cent straps and it's a wrap that goes over the face of a platform. And going over the face of the platform, what that gives you is obviously it's keeping the platform super open access, but it also just kind of wraps it, and you don't have to put it in with, say, your camera gear, or you don't have to put it in inside the pack or sleeve or anything that's going to make extra noise. It's as simple as possible. Just unplug and roll. Um, and you know, the Sumpter, we didn't talk about this, but it also has, again, being a frame pack, it also has the capability, again, for those public land guys, whether it rides in your truck and you hunt with a different pack, or like I'm doing a lot of now, or originally, like I was actually going in with that pack because I had so much camera gear. Sometimes I would take a tripod because I might have a ground play. It has what's called a meat sling that shoots out the bottom of it, wraps all the way around. It could actually wrap over your saddle hunting gear and take a load out from a whitetail, even with your original setup, before you
mhm.
go back in and get the rest of the deer. You can pack meat out for those states, like if you're going in deep and you want to pack out. Like the guys that are like harvesting does or something off public, like that go in with everything, and that way you can make those 2 trips a little bit easier for yourself. And that's kind of why it was designed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not a Western pack as far as per se as like multiple nights overstay and then packing out 150 pounds on it. But I mean, to pack out a couple quarters of a
Yep.
whitetail, which your max is probably around 60 pounds, it's very doable with that pack and very handy to have that option.
Absolutely. So with packs out of the way, um, before we jump into simple accessories, because episode 3 in this series is going to be all about upgrading your system and making it super efficient. But what we're trying to do, is definitely getting the guys that are in the market for the beginner off the ground as easy as possible, or maybe they made another choice and they're trying to upgrade from that choice and get a little bit better gear. So we're gonna try. What we try to do is make it as simple as possible. We have come up with originally it was 6 complete saddle hunting kits, but it is a little bit more now because we have different options when it comes to the saddle makeup of that gear. And then afterwards, we're going to even probably have even more kits when it comes to the hyperlight when the platform is available. So at the base right now, our kits include, and these are complete saddle hunting kits. These are the sticks, the platform, the saddle kit. So the ropes, pouches, saddle, everything you need and the bridge from that standpoint. And then the pack to pack it with. And these have been what we all sat down, ambassador staff, we kind of decided upon these kits and we made them for a specific purpose. And arguably they've been extremely successful for new hunters, like new saddle hunters, and obviously from a brand standpoint. So my favorite, just obviously you guys have heard me talk about the plateau pack and the EDP and wingman. The minimalist kit is the plateau pack double step sticks, EDP, or wingman, and then the plateau pack. What is it? The Venatic saddle as well. So the Venatic saddle, just again being my favorite. Um, that's a kit for minimal weight, run and gun, fast pace, and a great kit just to have for for several years. It's a great kit to start off with. What about you?
I think that's where mine landed when I took the test because we do offer a test too. I don't remember if
We'll jump.
Weston mentioned that.
We will jump
Yeah.
into that next, but
So
yep.
I think that's where it landed me, and then I changed some options around with it as well, and it got me closer to like my private land setup with the Onyx and the Palisade. Biggest thing for me is just I really, we've talked about it already, of the Venatic. So my system, whatever I'm trying to build, has the Venatic.
Right, exactly. Um, the other kit that has the Venatic is the pack out kit. So that's the Sumter
Okay.
with the EDP or Wingman, and then the Venatic as well. So like that, that's a that was my favorite. Honestly, that was my favorite setup for a long time. Just trying to pack deer out or whatever, going to different states, and just knowing like a lot of those late season muzzleloader hunts when I'm just like
Hmm.
meat hungry. Like I take that out because like I'm trying to almost guarantee, you know, because like I might just drop my saddle gear and just end up taking that pack just to end up walking out with a doe too. So that was a good base for me. The Sumter carries that really well. I'm gonna
What do
not
you do?
I'm
What are
not
you
gonna
doing
miss
there?
I'm not misspeaking on the packs. So
Ah,
the kits.
ah.
So I'm trying to make sure I get these right because of the saddle makeup of these. So the pack out kit, the minimalist kit, that's with our Venatic saddle. And the reason I'm looking this up is because now a lot of these kits that have been built with the Covert Light and Covert Pro, we're building with the Nimbus as well. So that's what the next kits are about. Arguably one of our most successful kits that a lot of guys land at again when we jumped into guys that are a little bit bigger bodied, 250 pound, maybe they got bigger boots, 12 size 12 or bigger. they
Oh,
like they like to land on the big rig kit,
the big rig.
the big rig. So that comes in two now. So that comes in the Nimbus, and then it also comes in the Covert Light version of it. um so how that's coming is either a K's or a Palisade pack, your mission platform, so that bigger platform where you can get your bigger feet, and then either the Nimbus or the Covert Light. I think if you are pushing that 250 plus, if you're that bigger guy, you might like that Covert Light better. But if you want to like a simpler option, you can go with the Nimbus because we have
I
extra
feel I
large.
feel like the guys at the shows, the bigger guys, do lean towards that because I always have them try both the Covert Light on and the Venatic, and I'm like, they're both comfortable, but they both feel a little different.
Yep.
I think it's that extra band in that Covert Light that gives those bigger guys that more comfort to them.
And then we haven't, I mean, from the bigger side of things, it's worth trying the Nimbus because it is so much wider as well. So it may not have that depth and it might not have that center band, but what it does have is that contour stitching that
Hmm. Hmm.
does give that support throughout the middle and throughout the vertical, but it has that wider profile. So it's worth trying both. But again, that's the big rig kit. I remember shooting the video for that, and the guy is he's a good friend. His name is Bailey, and he's a giant. Like he's a big guy. And he made like think about the profile that he made that case pack and that mission look tiny. Like the EDP looks on me. I'm like 170 pounds, like 5'8". This guy was like I think he was like over 6'3" like he's big.
Oh, he is a
And
big boy. Yeah.
and he's bigger on the weight. He's got the bigger shoe type, and it fits him just like arguably he can just carry more weight with him. So it's just like it's a great system for that. The very next best, most popular is the Dawn to Dusk. I love the fact that we named it that because it's that all day sit. The reason I think it's so popular, you've got the Palisade pack, which is definitely one of our most popular packs. The Covert Pro, so they both come in a Mossy Oak original, Bottomland, and then it also comes with the backband, the Neve Savers, and the Onyx. That is like the ideal kit for all day sits. You've got the angles,
Mhm.
you've got a bigger profile platform, you've got the knee savers to save your knees, you've got the backband to hunt all day in. I don't think
And you've got
there's
a pack that's capable to pack enough in too.
very capable, overly like it is, especially if you're like a more late October rut, you're probably sitting all day, you're sitting long hours, late season, like it just gives you every support that you need in a kit right off the bat.
Mhm.
And that's why it's extremely popular. Again, that also comes in the Nimbus version of that, so you can get the new saddle and the better, in my opinion, better pouches with that as well.
Mhm.
Um, then we have what's called the Refuge, which is essentially that kit without the backband and knee savers, so you can jump down into that level. And then we've got there's one more, not the Refuge. It's called the Ranger.
Oh yeah.
Ranger is the Woodlands pack. So the Woodlands pack is not it's a minimal minded pack in the form of like, again, if you were to want
Narrow. It's
it's
a
a
narrow
narrow
pack.
if you were to want a non fanny pack version of like a plateau, like it's kind of like that mindset. It's a minimal, it's actually pretty big. It can compress very small if you're not carrying a lot of gear, but if you are, like Robert mentioned, carry a lot of hunting gear or you're getting into late season, so you want a capable pack, you can actually stuff this full. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
that the Ranger pack again, I'm not going to misspeak on this. So we've got it coming with the Woodlands pack, the Covert Light or Nimbus, the Wingman, and then the sticks. So for
Let,
me,
don't jump off of this right yet. The Woodlands pack seems to be a favorite of the ladies, and I don't know if it's because it's narrower. At least the one or two I've talked to, that is one of the main reasons why. So if you are a gal listening to this, which I highly doubt, because we're pretty boring, but if your significant other, you want to get her into saddle hunting, look at that pack because it would be better between the shoulder blades for her, basically.
yeah,
Just keep that in mind.
again, that's the Ranger saddle hunting
Yep.
kit and the Woodlands pack that he's specifically talking about. It's coming with the Wingman or Onyx, the choice, or you can get the Covert Light or the Nimbus if you are a lady. The Nimbus is the first saddle we've offered that comes in the small medium, so that smaller size as well for that Nimbus saddle.
It's true.
Personally, if you're looking at that Ranger, like it does come with the Onyx and the choice, but that Woodlands pack for me carried that Woodland setup or the Wingman setup extremely well. You got a stick, one or two sticks on the side, the Wingman with the deck of that Wingman, that platform over the top. I absolutely love that setup. And it was just a really simple, narrow, everything within that silhouette, not like the Palisade carries the same way, but it's just a little bit wider for a profile like mine or a lady's profile that you're talking about. So again, I think that was a
I wasn't trying to call you a lady.
that's okay. I'm embracing this small statue. I'm the guy that you meet, and I'm smaller in person than Instagram or YouTube. So I always say that. I think we hit every single one of those complete saddle hunting kits. We also have like hang with the best, climb up bundles. That might get you a bigger buy on a specific kit that is a little bit lower priced. The next things we have to talk about are, because we're going to jump into accessorizing, upgrading your system, things like that. The next thing we have to talk about is, again, that kind of goes in the mindset of kits, just bundling things, getting things better for the value of your dollar. Two things. One, we have a extremely well built rewards program where if you are going to buy, especially a complete saddle hunting kit or anything at that matter, if you are buying a complete saddle hunting kit, there's a very good chance that you can take advantage of a couple reward callouts, like maybe reviews or just a sign up or sharing on social media, trying to refer. Like there's a bunch of options that you can get to build a little bit of points. As soon as you buy a few more things, you're going to get a kickback. And if you especially buy a complete kit, you're gonna have enough kickback potentially to even get like a mechanical ascender or that back band or knee saver or a mobile gear toad or a dry bag or whatever it happens to be, the accessorizing after the fact. So make sure you sign up for a rewards program. Even if you buy at a dealer, make sure you have your receipt, send us our customer service an email, and we will actually you know, you have to create the rewards account, then reach out to us. But if we can find your rewards account, we'll actually apply that rewards to you so you can upgrade just if you buy at a dealer even. So that's just a big one to take advantage of.
Take advantage of it. I like it.
The next is what you mentioned earlier, which we have not jumped into yet, is the saddle system builder. So
Mhm.
this is a new software we launched. Was it this summer, late spring, summer of this year, 2024? We tested the heck out of this thing. We actually opened it up in beta. What it is a software that connects to our website, and it's a series of either 9 or 12 questions. Those are the first numbers coming to mind, where we ask you things like your hunting style, the seasonality of your hunt, your body build, shoe size, waist size, things like that, to make sure we recommend the right setup to you. How much hunting gear? I think one of the questions is like, how much hunting gear do you bring? Is it minimal or the kitchen sink? Like literally,
Oh
you're
yeah.
the guy that
Yeah.
brings the Twinkies, the coffee, the water, you know, the bigger opening Gatorade
Jet
bottle.
boil.
Yeah,
Like we like the jet
we
boil
brought a
every
jet
pack.
boil in
Yeah.
late season Kentucky with what was it, biscuits and gravy,
Oh yeah, B&G baby.
and then some what was it, ice cream
Oh
too.
my ice cream bars.
Yeah, freeze dried ice cream bar. Um, so if we ask you almost everything that we could possibly think of. Then before we even opened it up, we opened it up to all of our ambassadors, went back to the drawing board. I think we added and subtracted a few questions, tweaked the results, gave it back to our ambassadors and worked in the staff. And then we opened it up in beta. We didn't even push it final. We opened it up in beta with a special offer, and man, it really took off. And it ends up, I think it's almost perfect. And what I wanted to say about it before you comment on it would be, um, if I think we talked about this. It's almost like like you were in high school and you were trying to get like a career placement test,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I was like trying to get. We talked about this before, so that's why he said, "Oh yeah." I was trying to get
Mhm.
like game warden or like I don't know, like a park ranger or something. So I was like, and I get like accounting, like something random,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm trying to answer these questions to steer the result a certain way to like prove it to myself that I'm
I
this
swear those tests were all like government basis.
yes,
So like they were like trying to steer kids in the direction that was needed
state
for
jobs
the
or
guy.
whatever.
Yeah.
So and that's not like we built this system to truly reflect what pack, what platform, what saddle, what set of sticks are gonna be perfect for you. So I think hit it with an open mind, answer the questions truthfully, and it's gonna spit out a pack, saddle, sticks, and platform specific to you. It's even gonna recommend a couple accessories, especially if like the seasonality question or your waist size, like it's going to recommend more accessories than not. And then it is going to give you a special offer. It's not going to recommend one of these kits, but what you can do is like learn from that, switch the questions around on the second go, and you can take advantage of it.
Can you change correct me if I'm wrong, can you change the can you mix and match after it spits something out? You know what I mean? If it spits out the Palisade and you wanted the Plateau, can you switch that out or no?
Yeah, I mean, you can retake the test. I mean, the offer is very similar to what we have on our bundles anyway. So if you end up going to the bundles and just want to switch the pack up or whatever, you're gonna be able to take advantage of that. Um, but yeah, it's just simply based off of questions.
Okay. Yeah, I just haven't taken it in a couple months, so I couldn't remember if you could do that or not. So,
Yeah, and if
it,
you could add all to your cart, swap the pack, and the offer is very like still in your cart. So yeah, you can take advantage
like
of
I
it.
said earlier on, when I did take the test, it did place me pretty much with what I run already as my system. So I think maybe the only differences were for when I was doing the minimalist side of things was it may have got suggested the 11 millimeter red ropes instead of the 8 millimeter tech cores or something like that. But again, I was still taking it in the beta testing too, so it's probably even better now. It at the very least, I would recommend taking the test just so you get a feel, if you're brand new to this, just so you get a feel for like a general guide. So then you can kind of work off of that, kind of like what Weston was saying. You can see the pack that it's giving you or the platform, and then you can go back into the website and compare things to each other. And you're like, well, maybe I want this platform because it's a little bit bigger or vice versa.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's a good learning tool, if anything. But is there percentage off if they
Yeah, that's the
buy
special
whole?
offer I was talking about. I mean, it's gonna be very,
Yeah.
very simpler. Like that's why we're trying to get, not trying to oversell you on these kits or this system builder, but it does get a better value for your dollar, especially if you're jumping in with both feet. Again, and as we described in the last episode, like when you go all in on this, there's a very good chance you can sell some of your older gear unless you want just a bunch more gear or presets to cover the cost. Then the rewards, like if you want to upgrade, make sure you get those points. But yeah, there is a special offer in there.
Wait.
And going back to what you said, like if you have this, you take the test and it will give you gear recommendations that you can take even if you are looking at other competitors. Like if you want that standard size platform, or if you need to go with a bigger size platform, whether even if it is another competitor, like it's gonna get you in the ballpark of really what you're looking for.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
useful.
obviously we want to sell you our product, but at least if anything, we like to provide educational things, safety things, and just learning material that you can use outside of Trophy Line as well.
The
So
questions alone, you should be asking yourself. So just run through it. Just run through it alone, because if it's a question we're asking you, it matters in a saddle
Yeah.
system. So yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. That's gonna be episode 2 to this saddle hunting for beginners, a kind of a guide just to saddle hunting that dives more into the depths of specific gear. Next episode, we have 3 different guests that are in the aftermarket saddle world that we have used, abused gear of. Some pretty much sell some of their gear and work with them very closely. And like to bring attention to, those guests are Sam from the Amsteel guy,
Switalski.
Sam Switalski. I wasn't even going to try to pronounce that name. Kyle Skelly from Innovating the Outdoors. A lot of aftermarket, a lot of 3D printed stuff, and bow hangers. And then Austin Cantola from Genesis 3D, which has actually Kyle and him have both made some very sweet hyperlight accessories. They have double steps, they have platform accessories, bow holders, gear hangers, all sorts of things. We're going to dive into a lot of that, but specifically some of the new hyperlight stuff is really, really sweet that they made.
Yep.
That I'm loving using right now. So that's going to be episode 3. We're also going to kind of kick that off with accessories talk and just kind of efficiently building your system. What are the first mods? What are the first upgrades you got to hit out of the gate that can make a huge difference?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's Mobile Venatic Podcast. Thanks for listening, and go make the move, man.